Meaning is one of these ideas that can be really difficult to put into concrete terms. What something means, what the meaning of life is really tough to kind of operationalize, and it becomes one of these philosophical and abstract discussions about morality and ethics and all of these things that are really important in our lives, but kind of escape our ability to kind of point to it and say this is meaning, this is the way we understand things, this is the way we attribute value and operationalize things. I think about meaning and meaning making quite a bit because in my work, a lot of science and a lot of knowledge needs a framework. It needs framing in order for us to understand what that new knowledge means. And this is not about definitions, this is not about defining something, because defining something can be relatively easy. You can just look at different sources of definitions and then you can say, well, this definition is more valid than this one, or it's more generally accepted than that one. But meaning is much more interpretive and it's much more subjective. So trying to put meaning behind what is often very complex ideas, complex issues, complex phenomena, anything that you're exposed to in your daily life is almost by definition complex. There are no simple and easy ways of understanding things. So meaning becomes an interpretation, the kind of sum interpretation of all of our lives and experiences, all the things that we do, all of the people who we know. So meaning becomes very interpretive, and so what we understand as any given thing, even as something that might be very, very empirically founded. So we could talk about the temperature of a room. What it means to us is very, very different. It may be the same temperature for everyone in that room, but what it means can, from person to person, can really change dramatically. So we might be in the same temperature room, and let's say it's 22 degrees Celsius. And for me, that would be very comfortable, but for someone else, it might be a little bit too warm. For another person, it might be a little bit too cold. So what the temperature of that room means to someone is a very different thing than what it's defined as, how we define it. We define it as a specific measurement of heat, of temperature, and what it means to an individual can be a very different thing. So this is just a basic argument that we have to think a little bit differently about how we're interpreting the world around us, and understand that everyone's going to interpret things slightly different because their frame of reference is slightly different. Their interpretations of things are going to be slightly different, and that doesn't mean that there aren't issues that we have to have resolved, and that we have to kind of see in black and white terms. But there are a multitude of other issues that we really have to understand more about perspective, and we have to really take a critical lens not only to our own view of that reality, of that meaning, but to the view of others, and take even an empathetic lens to the view of others. It's really important that we stop thinking just in terms of what this means to me, but what does it mean to us? What does it mean to our society, the world that we live in?